Hello.
Hello.
We are here to taste wines with you virtually. For those of you that can't be here at Old North State Winery on Thursday nights, where we taste 4 different wines from around the world. This just happens to be stateside today. We're going to do a couple of West Coast wines.
Nice.
But we could have Italian, we could have Austrian, you just never know. We do know that they're going to be delicious though. And we're glad that you could join along with us. This is Chef Chris beside me, and my name is Ed. So, we'll get right to it. We got some Chehalem Pinot Gris. Of course, Chehalem is in Oregon and the Chehalem Hills. This is grown. And Pinot Gris, of course, is the second biggest grape of Oregon. Pinot Noir, of course, reigns supreme. But you gotta drink whites too, right? And so I think this is a great way to understand Oregon winemaking, is to understand their most famous white. Now, Pinot Gris, of course, you might know it as Pinot Grigio from Italy. Provides a lot of different flavor profiles when it's grown outside of Italy. And you're gonna explore those right now as we dive into this beautiful white. And it does smell like a mountain wine, doesn't it?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Mountain laurel too.
Wow, what a polished mouthfeel. Just really weighty for the varietal.
Long finish.
Yeah, we got lots of beautiful tropical notes, but not overpowering either. This is a wine that would be, one of those wines that you could certainly explain to someone easily. They wouldn't be overwhelmed by it. It's not weird, it's not out of bounds. It's juicy, it's unctuous. Just generally speaking, it's a delicious all-around wine. And these are the wines that we are constantly looking for when we're doing wine pairings, seafood, vegetarian dishes, of course, pork, chicken, all of these things that we're hopefully eating more of this time of year because, well, we just ate a bunch of roast beef and turkey and ham. We need to kind of diversify our diet. Yeah. So I have consciously been eating more vegetables and less red meats the last week because I just kind of overdid it.
It's easy to do, and it's just what you're supposed to do. It's that time of year.
But also, I want the right wine to go with the food.
Where's this been? This is delicious.
Isn't it lovely?
Pineapple, honeycomb.
Yeah.
Just fabulous.
Yeah, a little melon in there as well. Certainly some minerality as well. This is, of course, Chehalem is a winery that we've delved into before. Certainly, we had several different Chehalems on the wine lists throughout the years. And just kind of circling back around, had a really good tasting and wanted to share that with the peeps. I think it's a wine that kind of flies under the radar. I feel like their winery does, rather, and it's a shame because it really does over deliver.
It's crowded up there, but Chehalem is one of the pioneers of Oregon wines, and I think that's sometimes good and bad. You get up there and you take all the punches and clear the path for all the newbies to come in and go, oh, you're successful up here. They don't have the the brand new puppy, but at the same time, look how long they've lasted. They'll be there when all the fluff is gone.
Yeah, and of course, Chef Chris was out there in Oregon last year and spent a substantial amount of time in wineries.
90%.
So if anybody knows, it's you, Chef.
Well, remember Chehalem had a real presence on Undercurrents wine list. There was always some really nice Chehalem offerings there, and I put some on at Trio here and there because of that. And I remembered what a great portfolio they always had, and boy, they're still going strong.
Yeah, they're relentless. Even in the face of wildfires that were firing up. We talk about the ones that were in Napa, but Oregon was also under imminent threat. So thank goodness that we still have delicious wine coming out. And without the smoke taint as well. That was another big issue in the
A lot of the
California
a
fires.
lot of the wineries I was at visited, they skipped a vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were too smoky from either direct contact or just haze. So I think they sold some juice, they skipped some juice, and some people just wrote the whole year off and let their vines recuperate. But yeah, it's a always subject to things you can't manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some really horrible heat waves too, around harvest time. Very, very out of the norm for that time of year there, and it's always something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And also the sneaky thing about smoke taint is it doesn't come out until after fermentation. You don't even know it's in there. You can't really taste it in the juice. It comes out afterwards. So I think some dude invented a way to filter it out, but he's like one person. I doubt that
It's probably an expensive process too, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Oregon Pinots can get away with it with their sticker price, but I would think most of the middle of the road gang would not want to do that kind of investment for a one-off.
Yeah, sure.
Because hopefully you're not having smoke taint, all the time. So that sort of investment in material would probably be prohibited, especially on the price points.
Boy, it's really clean, isn't it?
But you nailed it. I mean, the balance on this, it's got it all. It's got the tropical, it's got the minerality, it's got the weight, it's got the cleanliness. It's beautiful.
I guess we need to start drinking more Chehalem Pinot Gris.
I agree. I just can't believe.
It's a good thing we
it's
always
almost
circle back.
If you were to just look at this, you would think you poured some water in your glass to rinse.
It is very light straw.
Punch. Yeah.
Light straw. It's.
I wouldn't want that straw in my yard. That's super light.
Mm-hmm.
But in a good way. I just can't believe the punch that this has on something that's so visually petite.
Yeah, it's interesting how wines don't necessarily match up to their color or their smell. Oftentimes they're a bouquet or aromas or however you want to put it, but they don't always match up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the only way to tell is the taste.
What a great way to tell something.
What are you going to throw at this, Chef?
I think we need a crab salad with this, don't you?
That'd work great.
I think it would work great too. I got in some beautiful North Carolina jumbo lump today, and I think that would be really, really nice. We'll add a few vegetables to that and serve it cold, and it's going to be super delicious.
Works for me.
Yeah, the brininess with the minerality, I think, is going to do well.
Wow.
That's pure loveliness.
Great way to start the day.
Pure loveliness.
All right, we're going to move on to California. We're going to go to Napa. This is a Wilson Daniels production here called Rootstock. Wilson Daniels is a pretty big force all over, really. Does importing, distilling, wineries all over California and beyond. So again, we don't discriminate against the size of wineries. We just taste the wines. You haven't had this yet, but I taste the wines and then I decide. I don't prejudge anything based on whether they're big or they're small.
Thank you.
And because I think each wine deserves a go at it. When I was doing blind tastings with Dan Nelson, when he was teaching me how to drink properly and how to study wine, he would have these, $500 bottles beside an $8 bottle, and I was blind tasting the both, and they were, just depending on the vintage. There's really cheap wineries that have a great vintage. There's really great expensive wines that have bad vintages. You just got to taste all the wines. So that's what we're here to do. But I don't necessarily shy away from bigger producers. I wouldn't say this is a big production in terms of how many bottles are made of this, but it's under a big umbrella, and there's many pieces to that puzzle, and we certainly can get our biases going in either direction. So I'm always trying to remain neutral, judge the wine on its own merits. And we had a wonderful tasting with this 2 weeks ago with my rep John. We both agreed that this was not only good for our personal palates, but for the clientele that we have.
Looking for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You gotta love it.
Yeah, so it's very juicy on the nose, a lot of fruit. Little toast. And this isn't 100% cab. There's about 88%, I believe. A little bit of Bordeaux varietals added in.
It wouldn't surprise me if there were a hint of Zen in that.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know for a fact. I know there's some Merlot in it. You can see the red in it for sure. And there's certainly an oak influence here. But what I would say about this is that oak influence only frames the fruit. It does not hide the fruit. And I think that's important here in terms of the way we approach food and wine. We don't ever want to have something that's kind of veiled.
Right, because you don't want to pair food with a tree. You want to pair it with a wine, and while the tree can certainly lend some characteristics, it doesn't hide. And I guess there's some that do, but not this. This is well
It's
enhanced, well seasoned.
Yeah.
With the oak, it's not overpowering. It's
vanilla for days, coconut. There's
for days.
almost some. What is that?
I'm not getting the dilly on it though. I'm getting more of the coconut vanilla.
Coconut vanilla for sure.
It's taken the fruit has a hint of preservative to it. A dry fruit, but still fresh. I mean, it's just a little of both. You know, you can taste some of the.
It's not a heavy. It's not syrupy, thick. I really like this kind of medium plus body because it almost, even though it's packed with flavor, it still has a refreshment value to it.
Yeah, the acid on this is great. It's almost
a little bit of candied fruit.
Candied fruit, yeah. A hint, and of course Ed don't know what I'm saying. It has a hint of bitterness, but like an earthy bitterness.
It's not like the wood,
like a woodwort or something like that. Not a bad bitter, like a good bitter that balances with that candiness.
And it really combines well with the acidity, that bitterness you're talking about. It really is clicking on the back end of my tongue and making it. Yeah, I'm really leaking here.
Yeah.
It's really a delicious wine.
It's activated everything.
I think this is a real under the radar, huge value wine. Does it drink like Caymus or Silver Oak? No, but it does drink like delicious Cabernet with a California essence to it. It's certainly, it's just not overdone. And I think there's some beauty in that. There's some restraint.
There's so much beauty in it. This is easily one of the better cabs I've enjoyed this year that you've poured, or I've had,
especially at the under 30 price point.
This is what cabs should taste like. These horse blankets that are coming out of California right now. This kind of reminds me of an Italian cab.
A little bit.
Remember, we've had a couple of Italian cabs this year.
Texturally, absolutely.
Texturally, the lightness of it with I think this has seen a little more oak than some of the Italian cabs they have, but it's in a good way. But the body, the weight, the finish doesn't wreck your palate. It's still refreshing and bright.
It's dangerous.
Home run.
I'm gonna love it. I would say that this is one of those wines that you get drawn in. Like, I just want to keep coming
back to it.
Yeah, it really does. It has just a great balance of acidity. Tannins are really, really fine. They are what I would call more developing tannins. They're not that obvious, and that would be a good thing for many people. The more I hear people get in front of people, there's a huge group of people out there that are just not interested in overwhelming tannins.
It is for sure the trend right now, and I think that comes with more people really getting into wine. You know, that they're not as gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are like, well, I want to know what the fruit tastes like. Well,
Yeah.
what is I don't want it to have so many influences I don't understand the terroir.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of tannin, a lot of oak, a lot of something else can really manipulate a fruit, a grape, into something it's not. And I think people are really, I think it's more of a reverting back to rather than discovering. I just think some places probably lost their way. You get a big toolbox, and you don't want to leave it in the corner, right? You're just like, I want to use all my tools. Let's use the oak. Let's pull the tannins. Let's do all these, different techniques to try to. And sometimes it's more for the scientists than the grape. And I think this is a very puristic expression of cab from California. It's delicious.
Yeah, and this is why like if I were just judging on well, that's a big producer. They're in all kinds of stuff. There's gonna be heavy-handed, overdone type of wines, but not prejudging it and tasting the wine for what it is in front of you, you're rewarded. So I might make jokes about Yellowtail or the Gallo portfolios. This is a winemaker that used to be at Gallo. I say those tongue in cheek because I still taste all of their wines. Well, not all of them. That's almost impossible. But everyone that gets in front of me, I taste, and I give it credit to its own merits. It earns its reputation with me. It's not just some arbitrary stereotype. I will drink jug wines if they're delicious. I'll drink box wines if they're delicious.
I have to admit that I've had some really good box wines lately.
I'm not saying this is that. I'm just saying.
I'm
just saying that is far from.
But I've got to tell you, there's some good box wines out there, and now that hopefully some of the stereotype is melting away from box wines, you can really appreciate the genius of it. Having that bladder is good for the wine. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it preserved. It is good for the environment. You can get a 3-bottle box, that used, a fraction of the glass and the paper and the labor that it takes to produce these things, and then ship them around the world. And so they're being good stewards too in these box formats. Where you can consolidate your packaging and your processing and your waste, and it's good for the winery. It cuts down on their expenditures, which means they can keep the prices either even or less, and you get a fresher product. A bottle of wine is fighting an uphill battle everywhere it goes. You're fighting light, you're fighting temperature change, you're fighting oxygen exposure. Everywhere you look, you're fighting handling. Mm-hmm. All these things are working against the bottle of wine. And, wine is not local anymore. Wine is shipped nonstop. Sometimes the next town, sometimes the next state, but usually around the world and around countries. And the bottles don't stand a chance. And a lot of them, have faults, but when they were perfect going in. And these bladders and these boxes are a genius way to prevent that, and it's protecting the wine and all of that work. So I hope those stereotypes and stigmas continue to melt away, because I think it's about the juice. It's not about, at the end of the day, you're not going to say, well, this wine was terrible, but that label, I got to go get some more. You're not going to do that. That's just a little, that's a little crest at the end of the day. And it's like you're always saying, great if you make a biodynamic wine, but how's it taste?
Right. Yeah.
And so you can admire that person's practices or processes. That doesn't mean you're going to be a consumer. It's probably going to tell somebody, I don't know about that. See if you can find another one that uses, squirrels or something. Yeah. But so that's why I like supporting the box wine thing, because I really like that direction. And if the wine is tasty, why not? I'm not going to. Well, sometimes I do, but I don't want to spend only want to spend a certain amount of money, during the week.
Yeah.
On the drinking.
Which is $1,000, right?
Yeah, about $950. But whatever. Research.
Tax
But I think
deductible.
it's a wonderful thing, and the more we learn about the business of wine, and you and I are learning a lot about all the details that nobody thinks about on the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
These things are really prevalent to me when I think about all the work it takes, because we have the aches and pains to prove it. Why would you not want to cut down on that? Cut down on the danger, cut down on the spoilage, cut down on the costs, cut down on all of the huge amount of time and investment that it takes to bring a berry to a bottle. And so, I don't turn my nose up at anything. Anything that would help that to increase safety, to increase the I want to get 100% yield of the effort. And so why would you want to spend a year of your life laboring, stressing, aching, crying, punching, bleeding, only to have your wine be ruined over a damn technicality?
Yeah.
Because somebody 100 years ago said that's the way. Who cares? They're dead. Honor the fruit. And to me, the honoring the fruit, the best way to honor the fruit is keep it unspoiled.
Yeah.
Whatever delivery that may be. We all love the pageantry and the tradition of cork and beautiful labeled and wines, but that doesn't have to be 24/7. There's room for all of it.
That is fact. Yeah, and there's room in my belly too.
Amen. And it's once it's in the glass, who cares? If it's fresher in the glass, thank you.
Chef, before I forget, I didn't ask you what kind of food you would like to pair with this.
All right, we're gonna do Chef Ed choice again. So I did something different, just to try it, to see what would happen. I took brisket and braised it like a short rib.
Okay.
I cut it up, seared it, braised it, 4 or 5 hours, and all the aromatics, red wine, stock. So we could go that route. I also have a really nice pork tenderloin that we're gonna do tonight too for the in-house tasting. So we could go pork cranberry, or we could go braised brisket.
Man,
It's in a different format, obviously. So we're not playing it safe here. So either way, I like the cranberry.
the
playing
cranberry,
off the fruit
there's
here.
some bright red in
There's
this.
some bright red in there. Then of course there's good acid in the braising liquid of the brisket too. So I don't think there's a bad choice. So you're gonna have to make the wrong one.
Yeah, I'll go with the pork.
Okay. Pork
Because the brisket braised is an unknown for me.
So it shall be.
And then we can visit the braised brisket and see what
the in-house people are getting it. So
Yeah.
they're gonna be the guinea
Yeah.
pigs. It's a little different.
I mean,
the fat content on it really helped it.
Did the fat melt down?
Yes, it did, and so there's it did, and it really took it on well, and just like it makes sense that it would. I think the only difference is in a short rib, you're getting most of your fat from the marbling, and in the brisket you're getting most of your fat from the cap.
Yeah, the cap is significant.
So it's really having to penetrate the meat rather than permeate, because the fat's already in the short rib.
Yeah.
But the brisket, you're trying to extract the fat and then
Right.
punch her back in there. And so some pieces are probably going to be a little better than others, but what I'm going to do is just shred it all and mix it so that there's hopefully an even distribution of that silkiness of
That's
the fat.
really interesting. I love how you're just always approaching classics with a different eye.
Well, it's like Gustav Muller said, tradition is tending the flame, not worshiping the ashes. So we can still keep the traditions alive without being stuck in them. I mean, not everybody wants peas and puff pastry, even though it was great, but I mean, I would love
That is a classic.
It's
What's
a
that dish
classic.
called?
Like a Kiev or something like
Yeah,
that. Something.
chicken Kiev.
But you know, you can deconstruct that.
God,
and do it in a modern way.
how many book
Remember
clubs
in the
country clubs,
God.
book club luncheons?
And I remember being at the Commonwealth Club in Virginia. You know, very old school. You know, Virginia's half European anyway. You know, it's just because it never really lost that English French influence.
You're talking about the Commonwealth?
It's
not a state; it's a Commonwealth.
It's Commonwealth. They have their own little world up there. But I can't tell you how many hundreds of kids I made for little parties and luncheons and side things. So
yeah,
not eager to revisit it, but it was a great example. But that doesn't mean we don't like peas and chicken and puff pastry,
right?
Individually,
sure.
So, but you know, maybe that we're a little sour on that preparation.
Well, we did have a stretch there where we were kind of, it was on the tail end, I think, of the country club world, that it held on to all the traditional dishes, even while cuisine was evolving rapidly in the South.
Rapidly.
You know, you had, of course, I think one of the big, obviously the Charleston low cuisine that blew up, but in addition to that, you had the '96 Olympics, where the whole universe was based right out of Atlanta.
Focused on Atlanta.
And seeing all that spillover of all that cuisine spillover that really blew up. But the country clubs were not going to have it.
They're the last to accept change, and you know, I think that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to have that warm blanket of
fried chicken.
I don't know fried chicken.
Really?
We ain't got no. I love fried chicken.
I know you love fried chicken.
Twice a year.
Twice a year. Twice a week.
No, me personally. I mean,
Yeah.
I think fried chicken is best.
What'd you have for breakfast?
I had fried chicken.
I love me some fried chicken too. That, you know, it's you know, there's a
fried chicken and cab.
Yeah, there's something very comfortable about Southern cuisine, but and then you look at all the people that have blown up internationally because, you know, like Blackberry Farm or August out of New Orleans, or you know, all the you name a million restaurants out of Charleston.
Slightly north of Broad.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so many chefs that blow up from that cuisine. Brock, you know, I mean,
Sean Brock, yeah, and he's reinvented himself 3 times, but has always been rooted in Southern cuisine. And he's got you know, I really like Sean Brock, and you know, just you forget the glamour. He's got a farm in Virginia where he is, you know, planted all these heirloom beans.
Yeah, he's all about those beans.
Well, and he's just saving like traditional Southern cuisine. It's like, you know, it's one thing to say, oh, well, this dish was a staple 200 years ago. Well, what did they use to make it?
Yeah.
And, you know, what was growing naturally there? And so it's easy to just order some beans from wherever,
it's not the same.
It's not the same. And so all these heirloom okras and beans and tomatoes, I mean, I think that is like really, I mean, that's really at the heart of it. And I just really admire it. Well, of course, you know, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in sponsorships help. But, you know, he earned that. You know, he earned that with his success. But
well, everything
reinvesting.
has that.
Yeah, but he was reinvesting in like the roots of Southern cuisine, and like hats off.
Yeah, I mean, just look at all the grants the universities are getting. Like, I mean, there's always money to push things through, but you know, everybody needs resources.
Everybody needs resources.
But his ideas are worth supporting.
They are, but you know, like if you and I woke up tomorrow and said, you know. You know, what we're doing here is really great. We're introducing the world to wine and food, and the pairing of wine and food and the nuance of it. We shouldn't have to work anymore. We should have a test lab kitchen where people send us all the wines in the world.
And all the food.
And all the foods, and we just drink and pair food with it and talk about it. And at the end of the day, we do podcasts. Well,
there's got to be
that's a great idea, but where's the $250,000 that someone's going to give us with no strings attached to do that?
Yeah. Well, you know, we also going to have some bedding material. Because if we're eating and drinking all day, I'm gonna have to take a nap.
That's really funny. You think you're gonna take a nap? You haven't slept since the Bills won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm not much on sleeping, unfortunately. I love to sleep, but I can't. I take a lot of naps, like from from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. From 2:30 a.m. to 4:15 a.m.
Yeah. So human,
you just add it all up.
Stoplights. Nod off at a stoplight and go.
Oh man!
So if you added it all up, you get a solid 4 hours a day.
Hey, I wanted to thank all you beautiful people out there that over the Thanksgiving holidays we didn't have an in-person tasting, that did the virtual with us. That was we had more people doing the virtual than normal, and we got a lot of positive feedback on it. That was fun. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Of course, we're in Christmas mode.
Christmas mode, full on.
We had a catering in-house yesterday for 55. Friday and Saturday night we have
big Christmas
huge parties next
closed
week.
to the public, and then 2 more next week, 3 more the week after.
It'll be party
Time.
central.
It's party time.
But with that being said, if you need any gifts for your beloved, wine is a great way to do it. There's a connection with wine. It's not just some empty. I don't know. I'm thinking of a charcuterie board.
Right.
I think that is one of the most common gifts over the last 5 years. It's like, great, another charcuterie board. But if you give somebody a bottle of wine or a case of wine, whatever it is, you give them an experience. It's something that you've curated because you know what it tastes like, and you can expound on it with them. You can connect with them over it. And that's what these videos are about. That's what our Thursday night tastings are about, is getting into the bottle and having conversations and reactions to each other. We certainly have plenty of people, because we have such a diverse crowd.
Yes,
there'll be half the people like the first one, half the people like the second one.
It's always
2/3 of the people like the third one.
And it's never the one you think they're going to choose.
And so, there's no right or wrong, but there's conversation and there's understanding, and I think that's really fun with wine, and it sure is better than watching the news.
Turn that news off.
Yeah. Sit down with some friends and have a bottle of wine or a case of wine and enjoy it. That's a great gift. The gift of time together over a bottle of wine is priceless. Luckily, Chef Chris and I
we make time.
We make time. We're spoiled. We're gonna make more time. Oh, did that wine come in yet from Oregon?
Yes, it's it.
I've been anxiously waiting.
Well, we've got all these wines piled up that we said we're going to put on a video, so we need a separate video.
Yeah.
That's not a part of the Thursday night. We've got to
Just
document it for posterity.
Are we gonna do it on TikTok?
Well, I think you only get like a minute. I have to ask my wife, who's the TikTok queen. But I think you can only get a few minutes on it. So we're gonna have to drink really fast.
I think YouTube's been good to us.
I think what you do, here's the thing: you do your YouTube video,
Yeah.
and then you take like
Snippets.
little 5-second screen grabs or video grabs, and you put it into like a 30-second highlight reel, put it on, and that feeds it to YouTube.
Yeah. Now, are we gonna dance in these videos?
I'm not doing it if we don't.
I feel like
Count me out.
if it's
there's no
TikTok, you
dancing.
gotta dance.
Well, I think this is the first video in a while you haven't danced your way to the chair. Shame on
Well,
you.
Chef, it's early in the damn morning right here. I mean,
You're
like,
eating fried chicken
it's
and drinking
cold.
wine. Why not dance?
Well, the chicken might have slowed me down a little bit.
You do your chicken dance.
Thank you, Bojangles. Anyway, so just keep us in mind for Christmas gifts, gift cards, things of that nature to the restaurant. I know we got a lot of interest in chef's tables. We've been packed. Again, last week we were full again. We've got chef table lunches out there. For those of you that don't know, we do lunches as well. And the dinners are very, very active. And I'm getting a lot of calls about people looking for specific wines for Christmas. So if there's something outside of what we talk about, please don't hesitate to ask. I've got 3 messages from when we went to school yesterday. Just people asking for wine. Can I get this? Can I get that? We're happy to hunt all those things down for you. That's what we do. We want to share all the wine. It's a good thing.
Just make sure there's enough left for us.
There'll always be enough for us. And don't be surprised if y'all get a nice Christmas gift from us.
Santa knows a few things.
But you better be good for goodness sake. See ya.
Bye.